students. Today we'll be discussing on sand, green sand specifically. The name green sand as it is naturally found in the environment. It is picked up from the seabeds, from the river beds. But now this sand by itself cannot be used directly. So first, there are some additives that are to be added. Additives in the form of binders. Binders would mean now the sand should be sticking to each other. There are certain elements that are added to this sand, green sand, so as to make it have certain properties that are required for molding sand. Now these properties, one of the elements that they added could be clay, which is called a binder. Binder as in, now if the sand is just left in the molding box, what will happen is in course of time, it will leave, the sand particles will get loose. Now to bind it together, we require clay. Now this clay should be within a certain limits, roughly around 10 to 15%. Now this clay is required so that the sand particles stick to each other. Now as you can see in my hand, the sand that I have just lifted and just applied some pressure, there is some sand that sticks to each other without adding water. Now just little amount of moisture is just sufficient. How much? That also has a proportion, 1:10. Maximum 1 part of water to 10 parts of sand. If you add more than that, what happens is this moisture can spoil your so-called casting. Now this casting can have cracks, develop cracks, or it can also develop hardness on the outer surface. Now to prevent all this, we require a certain amount of binder. Now this binder is used in the form of clay. Now this clay is mixed with this thoroughly. Not that in some parts of the sand you get clay, the other parts no clay. No, it is thoroughly mixed in the ratio of 15% of binder to the whole sand. Not more than that. At maximum you can add up to 30%, but not beyond that. If you add beyond that, what will happen? There will be more clay, as a result of which the collapsing, you will not be able to collapse the so-called mold after the casting is being formed. So that is also an important factor. Now this sand also has other additives, like this sand by itself cannot stand. So additives in the form of silica, aluminum oxide and silicon carbide. So even these particles are added in a very small quantity just to increase the strength of your sand and to bear the heat. Now this heat should not melt the mold cavity, the sand in the mold cavity. If the sand in the mold cavity melts, your mold is useless. So in order to withstand the heat, we add certain additives, like I've said, in the form of either silicon carbide and aluminum oxide. Now they are used specifically. Aluminum oxide is generally used for softer materials like aluminum, whereas for tougher materials like steel, we generally use silicon carbide. Now besides these additives, we add a little amount of coal dust. What happens is the coal dust keeps your mold cavity in shape and doesn't allow the casting to be seeping into the sand. So this coal dust is specifically meant to keep your mold in shape. At the same time, see that the moisture in the sand doesn't affect your so-called casting. Okay. Now, Besides this, see, first we added a binder. Then we added some additives like aluminum oxide, silicon carbide, depending on what material you're going to cast. Then we have added a certain little amount of coal dust. Now, what coal dust does, I've already told you. Now, this sand, after it has come with all these additives, all these binders and other elements, later on we got to sieve it. For sieving, we got to use a sieve or a riddle. Now, before we start sieving, it is better that we separate small impurities like sea cells. There will be other impurities like some small plastics. So first you got to pour the whole sand onto a flat surface. Then we did not have the whole amount of sand to be mixed. And remember, not all the sand that we use is reusable. The sand around the mold to be made is not reusable. That can be used outside, but there should be always new sand on the inner cavity, on the mold cavity. Now, why is this? So that your sand has the properties that it requires. Now we shall talk about the properties. Now this sand got to have certain properties before being used. First property would be refractoriness. Refractoriness would mean the ability of the sand to withstand high temperatures. Now if this sand cannot withstand high temperatures, you prepare a mold, and after you pour molten metal, what will happen? In the course of time, the hot casting material of molten metal will seep into the sand and melt the sand. Now this melted sand will change the shape of the casting. Now this casting cannot be used. So refractoriness is one of the most important factors that are necessary in the properties of the sand. The second property would be permeability, in which it should be porous. If the sand isn't porous, the gases, the hot gases that when you pour molten metal, the metal is hot, right? So this molten metal will have certain amount of heat. Now this heat has to escape. Not only that, within the sand itself, some vapor could be released because it has moisture in it. Now this sand has to release that moisture. How will it release if it did not have permeability? Now it has to have permeability. That's the reason. Because of this reason, so as to escape the gases. Then the third is cohesiveness. Cohesiveness means thickness of the sand. Which means to say one particle sticks to the other with very little moisture. If there's too much of moisture, we understand it will stick, but then it will have an adverse effect on your casting. So to prevent that, we are having cohesiveness with very little binders. Binders, as I have told you, is clay. So with very little water content, the sand should stick to each other by applying little pressure. See, now in this case, can you see the sand? It's sticking. So this property is very important as far as your molding sand is concerned. So I've told you about three properties. First is refractoriness, second permeability, third cohesiveness, fourth is the strength. Strength of the material would mean, strength of this sand would mean it should be able to handle the pressures that are applied while pouring the molten metal, while taking or hammering, or you ram the sand. So this sand should be able to take that pressure. So this strength of sand is very important. in order to have this strength, we add certain elements, like I've already told you in the past. Those are either aluminum oxide or silicon carbide. Besides, we add other things also. Okay, so now all these help in making this sand so strong that it can take the weight and the pressures and also the heat of the so-called casting. The next one is flowability. Now what happens is, when you pour molten metal, before pouring the molten metal you prepare the mold. In preparing the mold you have to do lots of ramming. Now this ramming could injure or could change the shape of the sand. Even the granules of sand can change shape. So it should take that and it should flow wherever. Now if I ram in a particular place in the center of this, the sand should flow towards the side or it should move. If it doesn't move, what will happen is, if it doesn't move, what will happen? It will collect at one place. So what happens is, the pattern is put in the center and your sand has to go in all directions so as to fill all the cavities that are there around, so that your pattern only is exposed within the sand. Your pattern is exactly covered in the sand. Okay, so now this will happen only if there is flowability, if the sand flows in all the parts of the molding box. This is possible. So flowability is one of the important characteristics or property of molding sand. Next is adhesiveness. Adhesiveness would mean the sand should not only stick to itself but also adhere to the molding box. Now if it doesn't adhere to the molding box, you move the molding box slightly, the sand falls off. Okay, so adherence is also one of the important things. And last, it's collapsibility. Collapsibility would mean your sand shouldn't collapse. Should collapse only when at last the casting is formed and you want to remove the casting. If your casting is formed and at the same time, like cement, if your sand mold also has hardened, can you separate the casting from the mold cavity? No. So that's the reason collapsibility is also one of the important characteristics or properties that are required of the molding sand. So these are some of the properties which I have told you. First, it is refractoriness. Second, it is permeability. Third, the strength. Fourth, flowability. Fifth, adhesiveness. And sixth, it is collapsibility. So all these properties are required from the sand. Now if these properties were not, if one of them also wasn't there, it would be a failure in preparing the casting. Okay, now after we have seen the properties, now we shall go in preparation of the sand. Preparation of the sand from our side. The sand from the mines, from where it is mined, it is already prepared. Okay, prepared as in all the additives are added, all the necessary binders are put in, and now we have to prepare the sand. To prepare the sand, what we do is, first lay it on a flat surface, and then we separate the so-called impurities that we can see with the visible eye. If there are stones, remove the stones. If there are pebbles, remove pebbles. If there are small sticks, that you can remove them. And if there are sea shells or river shells, remove the shells. And after removing that, what we will do is, we will put this in our riddle or sieve and sieve the sand. So we need not sieve a large quantity of sand. Depending on the size of the pattern, if the pattern is very small, just little amount, if the pattern is this big, okay, just 2 hands full of sand is just sufficient sieving. If the pattern is very big, then depends on the surface of the pattern which is directly in contact with the sieved sand. Only that much of sand we require to sieve. The rest of the sand we need not sieve. So we will distribute the sand in 2 parts. One sieved sand, the other part unsieved sand. So in this case, I will sieve the sand. Okay, here we will sieve the sand. The remaining contents, if it's only sand, you can keep it aside. So now we have sieved sand and this is unsieved sand. Okay. Now both these contents, so this is the sieved sand, this is the unsieved sand. Now both these portions we will separately mix it with water. Now the water content should be very, very minimal, as in 1/10 or 10% of the total sand. Okay. So if suppose this is one glass full, okay, we will add just a little of water and mix this sand thoroughly. Okay. Similarly here, this sand will be directly in contact with your pattern. The reason, if we put this sand, unsieved sand, what will happen is the mold cavity will not have a finish. Your casting will not have a finish. So if you want a good casting, you've got to have very good finish of your mold. So in order to have a very good finish of your mold, you got to have nice flowing sand after adding water and very fine. Okay. So now we have sieved the sand, we have added water, and now we are ready for preparing the mold cavity. For preparing the mold, we will require 2 flasks. We are preparing a mold of a single piece pattern. Okay, now as we see, we have divided these 2 sand, that is unsieved sand and sieved sand. And now, since we require very little water, I have taken it in a sprinkler. Okay, so I will sprinkle water on this. Here, when I mix, I see that I mix it thoroughly. Both the portions. First I mix the sieved portion. Do not first mix the unsieved and then the sieved. What will happen? The unsieved portion, once you mix it, that same hand when you put it in the sieved portion, you will get the impurities from the unsieved into the sieved. So first mix the sieved portion, then the unsieved. How do you check this? We mix it thoroughly like this. And then we we press it in the hand. You see? Now see, there's no sand in my hand. I'll prepare a mold. See, very little sand gets stuck to my hand. But whereas, in this case, if I had dry sand, see how the mold is prepared. It doesn't stick. The sand doesn't stick. But here, the mold is prepared well. Can you see that? Okay. So this is the sieved sand has been prepared. So now we prepare the unsieved sand the same way. So once the two portions are being prepared, we prepare the mold. Here, since our pattern is very small, we do it by hands. But in industries, we have large machines called mullers that do this work of mixing the sand and also mixing it with water, at the same time running it and everything. So there we have large machines called mullers. That's it.